we see that there is a school. We've seen the building. We see the status of it. We see the educational vision that you've articulated for it. Where does the school stand now?
At present, well, first, for your listening audience, we have four buildings: Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy that we purchased in February of 2019. Two of those buildings are schools. A third building is a gymnasium. The high school has its own gymnasium, which means we have two school buildings as well as two gymnasiums and a fourth building. We have been working to renovate that building since our acquisition 2 years ago. We were met with some delays because we needed to track down the original building design blueprints of the first campus in order that the proper repairs could be suggested by the engineering team that we hired to redo the blueprints. It took us a while to track those down because the previous owner did not have a copy of his own. So that took us almost a year. And since that time, we've been working on renovating the building. We've had some ups and downs, as anyone may imagine, whenever you're trying to renovate a corporate space. There were some challenges there, not only financial, just with finding the right people to get the job done, but we are in a good place right now. We have the HVAC technician that we need. We believe we found the right person. We believe we found the right plumber that we need. And so we're hoping to have the entire campus renovated by the end of this summer.
And the school will then be opened for the fall of 2021?
No, sir. We're looking to open up the school the fall of 2022. If we are fortunate enough to conclude renovations on the Marcus Garvey building and Nat Turner Gymnasium this summer, we look to open up the school next summer. So that would give us 12 months of leeway to comfortably make sure we have everything in place to receive our young men, not this coming fall, but the following fall of 2022.
One of the big concerns and one of the big critiques, and obviously I've seen you for a long time, known you for a long time. I believe I even donated a while back. In fact, I know I donated a while back. Was the moving targets and moving deadlines. I think sometimes there's a heftier skepticism of black folk when they're building a project than white folk. Deadlines get pushed back all the time. Do you feel like the criticism of the delays and the request for more money were unfair, unreasonable?
Oh, not at all. In fact, we've never asked for more money than we originally thought we would have needed when we first began fundraising during the spring of 2014, when our original sites were on the St. Paul's College, the HBCU in Lawrenceville, Virginia, that had closed down, unfortunately, and again, unfortunately, was subsequently sold to the Chinese. That's where we really wanted to be, but we needed to raise $2 million relatively quickly. We were not able to do that, and with the selling of St. Paul's, we had then decided that we should just focus on getting a regular school that we could operate for our young men and eventually for our young women. But we have never given up on our dream of having a residential campus. I graduated from a residential high school. I understand the benefits of that. So that is still in our long-term goals. But for right now, we just want to get a school, get it open, because we recognize the war against black boys. We understand that special education is a weapon of mass destruction, and ADHD, psychiatric medication, is a weapon of mass destruction. The American public school curriculum itself is a weapon of mass destruction. So we're just looking at a regular day school now, but we still want to go residential. As far as the moving goalposts, whenever you build an institution of this magnitude, timelines will change. And when I look back over the 24 months that we've had this campus, things have come up that I wasn't expected to learn. For example, today, in having a conversation with our HVAC technician, I learned that it can take anywhere from 2 to 3 months for them to customize and make the replacement HVAC unit that has to go on the roof of the Honorable Marcus Garvey Elementary School. I had no idea that it could take up to 3 months to produce an HVAC unit for an elementary school. But I learned that today. So again, things come up all the time. I didn't know it would take us almost a year to track down the original designs. So things come up all the time. I am an educator. I'm an academic. I'm a doctor of clinical psychology. I'm a Pan-Africanist. I am not a construction expert. I am new to this. Although I've been principal and vice principal, I've never had the privilege to be responsible for the construction or renovation of a building. So I'm learning as we all do. But what's most important, Dr. Hill, is that we get the school done. That's what's most important, whether it's this year or next year or the year after that. I'm very happy with where we are because we started with nothing 6 months ago, and we now have 2 schools and 2 gyms. And once the school has been fully renovated, we will probably be the largest independent Black school campus in this country.
Why do you think you get this level of scrutiny and criticism around fundraising, around money, around, I mean, there were even allegations that there was no school. People made it sound like it was a Ponzi scheme. I mean, you literally had to pull out your camera to show people that there was a building. I know that wasn't necessarily your purpose for showing people the building, but there are a lot of people who didn't even believe it existed. Even with the degrees, I mean, all the stuff that people have said about you and done, why do you think you get this level of scrutiny?
I think my gift is also my curse. I am very reachable. I'm very approachable. Most traditionally trained scholars, they keep a distance between themselves and the regular people on the ground. I don't do that. I'm very much in the streets. I'm very much in the neighborhood. I'm very approachable. People have my phone number. They have my email address. I respond to Instagram inbox messages and Facebook inbox messages. I'm very approachable. And I think that's responsible for my success as well. But again, the gift is the curse. And because I'm so approachable, because I am so real, so honest, so transparent, it does give people who don't have a positive agenda the opportunity to try to misrepresent who I am, what I'm working for, and what I stand for.
Cool. I want you to stay right here. I got a lot more questions for you, everybody. We got a lot more with Dr. Umar when we come back. Stay with us with Black News Tonight returns. Welcome back to Black News Tonight. I'm here with Dr. Umar Johnson, and we still got a whole lot of ground to cover. I want to get right back to it. Dr. Umar, you wrote something on Instagram the other day. You said there is a growing male YouTubian community that is creating a sector dedicated to slandering and criticizing Black women who don't emulate Eurocentric standards of beauty and success. Unfortunately, many sisters have become prey for these coons due to an unconscious need for male validation. Black women, you don't need a man to validate your worth. Many people took that as a shot at Kevin Samuels, the online advice giver, relationship expert. He, of course, responded in a video directly addressed to you. What were you trying to communicate with this? I don't want to assume that you were talking about him, although he certainly took it that way. One, were you talking about him? And two, what were you trying to communicate there?
Yes, sir. My comments were not particularly directed to that gentleman. And in fact, he had made some slanderous comments towards me in a video that he had put together a couple of weeks ago. I saw that video, but I did not respond to it. I make it a point, when at all possible, to not respond to individuals whose intellectual competence I consider to be far below my own. But the message that I put out with regard to the quote that you just read speaks to a growing trend amongst the African American male community, Dr. Hill, that seeks to blame Black women for many of the trials, tribulations, failures of Black males. And I don't think it's right. It almost reminds me of what I saw in the early Black radical feminist movement, where I saw a lot of sisters making Black men the scapegoat for problems that white supremacy had deliberately engineered in the Black community. And now it seems like things have come full circle, where we have a movement now known as the manosphere that wants to make the Black woman the scapegoat and make her the blame for all things going wrong in the Black community. My message is simple. The Black woman is not at fault. The Black man is not at fault. There are some things that each group needs to do better, but we need each other. The Black family is under attack, and we need to save the Black family. It's not about scapegoating the women. It's not about scapegoating the men. It's about recognizing that the American white power structure wants to destroy the Black family. And that's why you see so much attention being paid to the Black woman, or so much attention being paid to the Black man or the Black child. But rarely do you see enough attention paid to the Black family. And the reason you don't see a lot of attention paid to the black family is if you want to save the family, you automatically have to save the black man, which means you have to do something about mass incarceration, miseducation, psychiatric medication, psychological frustration. Suicide, for example, Dr. Hill, is the second leading cause of death for black males 1 to 19. And it is the third leading cause of death for black males 20 to 44. But that's not being discussed. So they would rather focus on either gender or the child as opposed to the family unit. Because if you focus on the family unit, you have to save all black people.
So let's talk about that, because one of the places that you and I have disagreed, not necessarily directly but indirectly, is around this issue, right? One of the things that you've said is that we are blaming the black woman, but then there have been times, and maybe your position on this has changed, but over the last 10 years where you've talked about sort of black mothers and how they have engaged their sons in ways that have made them not become the kind of men you want them to be, or we want them to be, ways that make them become gay, or how people are turning gay, that there's a certain way that that can be understood as a kind of blame on black women. How do you jive this very real concern? And I agree with you that we shouldn't be stereotyping or stigmatizing or blaming black women for the effects of patriarchy, misogyny, white supremacy, all that stuff, with this idea of saying that if black women don't maneuver or move in a certain way, that they're actually harming the black family or not allowing men to be produced in the way we want them to be.
Absolutely. Well, first, to clarify, I've never blamed black women for black males becoming homosexual. What I have said, though, based on my work directly with children as a school psychologist, as a therapist, working almost 25 years, is more than 90% of all the black men I've worked with who had admitted to homosexual behavior or identity were sexually abused in the prepubescent years of their life. So I blamed sexual abuse as being one of several triggers that can lead to a homosexual lifestyle. Now, of course, that was considered controversial then. It is still considered controversial now, but
And
I
now,
stand by it because, yes, and I stand by it because I have seen it and I have heard the confessions and I have seen the relationship. But with black mothers and black fathers, I think we can all do a better job. So when I speak of a black woman needing to do a better job with discipline, it's not because it's the woman's job to discipline her son, but it becomes the black woman's job to discipline her son because America has a policy of destroying black males and sending us to the prison and to the graveyard. And as a result of that, the woman whose traditional responsibility in the home was one of a nurturer and a supporter, she now becomes a boundary keeper and a disciplinarian. And a lot of mothers find that difficult to do, of any race. And I think it's unfair that black women have to provide both the masculine and the feminine nurturance in the household, but it's the situation that we're in. I would blame the black men in the community, Dr. Hill, for not stepping up to help our single mothers raise these boys. You will never hear Dr. Umar say that the black woman is the reason we have dysfunctional black males in our society. First, I would blame racism. And second, I would blame all the able-bodied black men who watch these sisters struggling to raise these boys on their own and don't step up to lend a helping hand.
The idea of destroying black men is an interesting one. I heard your commentary that I thought was really interesting on the Breakfast Club. But one of the things that came up where I was a little struck was the conversation about Deshaun Watson. Is, and the sort of idea of a conspiracy. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, whether it's Deshaun Watson, whether it's Bill Cosby, I could even mention other names. I'm seeing all these accusations and almost no charges. And it concerns me, Dr. Hill, because it appears that America has gotten to a point in her viciousness towards destroying black masculinity. And I want to be clear. There is an all-out war on black masculinity that is as old as America is herself, but has intensified in recent decades. And that war on black masculinity seeks to make the black man a convicted felon before he has ever had an honest trial in court. And I'm seeing entire careers being destroyed based off of allegations where the new rationale says that if 10 women say it, it's true. Or if 20 women say it, it's true. Or if 30 women say it, it's true. But I thought you could only be convicted after a trial of your peers in a court. And that's not happening. We're seeing
But
black
what
men
about
get politically and socially lynched in media.
But what about the word of women, right? I mean, if we have, for example, 30 women or 50 women or however many women at this point we have with Bill Cosby, and they're all saying the same thing. Some know each other, some most don't. They're making these allegations. At what point do we say, hey, there's something to this because we actually trust women, right? And not just a single slice of women, whether it's black women, white women. I'm saying women in general. With Deshaun
But I'm
Watson,
not
you have
discounting their
now
gender,
dozens
though,
of
Dr. Hill.
allegations. No,
I'm
I
not
know.
discounting their
But I'm saying is,
gender.
if we're
I'm not saying
no,
we
I know
shouldn't
you're.
listen because
I
they're
know.
women.
I know you're not. I know you're not saying it. No, I know you're not saying it because they're women necessarily. I'm saying though, when I'm talking about the fact that these are allegations that are often levied against black men. You're saying, and these allegations are levied by women. I'm saying when women are making these allegations in a culture that often normalizes rape, that has always historically normalized the abuse and harm to women's bodies, that has been indifferent to rape and sexual violence. What does it mean for us to say, you know what, even if dozens of them say it, we shouldn't take it seriously? We believe black men when they say the police harass them, beat them, shoot them. We were on Derek Chauvin's behind long before a trial. We wanted George Zimmerman gone long before he went to court because we said, you know what, black men's words mean something and black men's lives mean something. I heard you say the same thing and I agree with you on Ma'Khia Bryant, right? We have to value her life before we ever get to a courtroom. But why is it when it comes to sexual violence against women, it becomes a conspiracy against the black man, as opposed to the possibility that these black men have done harm, whether it's to straight women, queer women, trans women, whether it's to each other? Why can't that be a possibility, particularly when it's coming from dozens? I'll give you a chance to respond. As a matter of fact, I don't want to cut you off, so we're going to go to commercial, and I'll give you the full time on the break to respond. Everybody, we'll be right back with Dr. Umar Johnson. Welcome back to Black News Tonight. We only have a few minutes left, so I want to jump right to Dr. Umar. I wanted to give you an opportunity to respond to that, and then I have a final question for you.
Yes, sir. Good question. I would say that violence by the police and sexual violence are different in that in most of the police violence cases, Dr. Hill, we have witnesses, at least a half dozen in many cases. And in almost every case, there's been at least 1, 2, or 3 people who not only saw the entire encounter between the police officer and their victim, but in many cases, it was captured on video. So it becomes indisputable. Officer Chauvin's assassination of George Floyd was caught on video. But by contrast, the accusations against Bill Cosby were not caught on video. The accusations against Deshaun Watson were not caught on video. And then we also see a difference in the manner in which black men who are accused of sex crimes are treated in comparison to white men. Whatever happened to the case against the owner of the New England Patriots? Why didn't that get the same energy? Why didn't the case involving Ben Roethlisberger of the Pittsburgh Steelers, why didn't that get the same energy? What about the Duke lacrosse team of several years ago who sexually assaulted a young black female student? Why didn't that get the same energy? What about Marv Albert, who was the leading NBA announcer at that time, accused of sexual abuse, and it didn't get the same energy? So all we're saying is sexual abuse is wrong. Black women suffer from it way more than white women do. As a black man, understanding the history of the sexual objectification of the black woman in her body, I'm extremely sensitive to the issues of black women when it comes to sexual abuse and exploitation. But at the same time, I will not stand by and watch a black man get publicly lynched before he has had his day in court.
Right. I guess it's hard for me to take that answer without asking a question, rhetorical question of, well, what does freedom look like? I agree with you. White men get away with all kinds of stuff. They do all kinds of harm. White men have destroyed this world from the moment they've been on the planet. You and I will agree on that. But my vision of freedom is not to be as unchecked, as unaccountable, as violent, as patriarchal, as misogynistic, as transphobic, as imperialistic as white men are. I don't want I don't want a world where I'm free to be as reckless as Harvey Weinstein. I don't want Bill Cosby to be treated like Harvey Weinstein. I want Harvey Weinstein to be as accountable as Bill Cosby has been made to be. For me, that's what freedom and justice look like. And so I think too often, and this isn't a critique of you per se, but a critique of sort of how we talk about this issue, is that sometimes we keep pointing to white men who haven't been held accountable and saying, well, look, they didn't do anything, when in fact we should be saying they need to be accountable, but we need to be accountable because so much of the harm that happens, whether it's sexual violence, whether it's transphobic violence, whether it's rape culture, we are accountable for that. Black men do harm in the world. Black men aren't the sole source of the harm. Black men didn't create the harm. Black men shouldn't be isolated for the harm. But black men do harm, and there has to be a way that we hold ourselves accountable. And I think if we don't, we run the risk of reinforcing patriarchy and in so many other forms of violence in the world. Brother, we got to go, but you are welcome to come back whenever you want. We can finish the conversation. We can do another venue as well, brother. But thank you for coming, and thank you for having a great dialogue with me.
Thank you.
All right. Let us know what you're thinking. Hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, and all the other social media. Twitter's my favorite, at BNC News. And be sure to hit the website, bnc.tv. Up next.